Have you ever wondered why some 75-year-olds still drive at night, travel alone, and remember details from decades ago, while others the same age can barely leave home without assistance? In the next few minutes, I'll reveal 7 things that only a small percentage of adults over 65 can still do, and how maintaining these abilities could mean 10 to 15 more years of independent, healthy living. The 5th ability on this list is so rare after age 70 that geriatricians at the Mayo Clinic consider it a more reliable predictor of longevity than any blood test currently available. Last week, I met Eleanor, 84, who still drives at night to play bridge with friends and recently returned from a solo trip to Europe. When I asked about her secret, she said something that contradicts everything we've come to accept as normal aging. She believes that deliberately practicing these 7 abilities has allowed her to maintain independence when 90% of her peers now require regular assistance. 1. Driving safely at night. Can you still confidently drive after sunset without anxiety or difficulty? If so, you're among the mere 17% of adults over 70 who maintain this ability. According to comprehensive research from the National Institute on Aging, the capacity to drive safely at night indicates exceptional visual and cognitive health, often associated with a significantly lower risk of developing dementia and other neurodegenerative conditions. Their longitudinal studies show that night driving requires a complex integration of visual processing, spatial awareness, and quick decision-making, precisely the cognitive functions that tend to decline earliest in age-related neurological changes. When tracked over 15 years, seniors who continued night driving showed remarkably preserved brain volume in regions typically affected by early cognitive decline. Losing this ability isn't just about convenience, it's frequently the first sign of cognitive decline that precedes much more serious limitations to independence. The transition away from night driving often begins a cascade of reduced mobility that accelerates other aspects of aging. When researchers at Johns Hopkins University studied this phenomenon, they discovered that seniors who stopped night driving experienced a 43% reduction in social engagements within just 18 months, leading to increased isolation and associated health risks. The cognitive challenge of night driving appears to provide an important form of neural stimulation that helps maintain brain health. Richard, 78, from Boston, has maintained his ability to drive at night by regularly practicing in familiar areas with a family member as co-pilot, preserving his independence when friends had already given up this ability. He specifically credits his twilight practice sessions in gradually decreasing light conditions for helping his eyes adapt more effectively to changes in visibility. This deliberate practice of challenging visual conditions has allowed him to continue evening social activities and volunteer commitments that keep his life rich and purposeful. To maintain or improve your night driving abilities, exercise your night vision by reading under different lighting conditions and schedule semi-annual eye exams that include scotopic vision testing. Practice driving at dusk rather than complete darkness to gradually challenge your visual system, and ensure your windshield is immaculately clean, as smudges significantly worsen night glare for older eyes. Consider investing in glasses with anti-reflective coatings specifically designed for night driving, as these can reduce the starburst effect around lights that many seniors find particularly challenging after 65. Every month without practicing this skill means your confidence and capability diminish. Start incorporating short practice drives during early evening hours while it's still safe to do so. Don't wait until you've completely lost this ability before working to preserve it. The neural pathways involved become increasingly difficult to maintain once they begin to atrophy. 2. Getting up from the floor without assistance. If you fell to the floor right now, could you get back up without using furniture or calling for help? This seemingly simple ability is surprisingly rare after age 70. A landmark 2012 study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine discovered that adults who cannot rise from the floor, using at most one hand for support, have a mortality risk 6 times higher over the next 6 years compared to those who can. This finding was consistent across all demographic groups and health conditions, making it one of the most powerful predictors of longevity ever identified in medical research. Losing this capability doesn't just dramatically increase the risk of remaining on the floor for hours after a fall. It indicates muscle loss that affects every aspect of daily independence. The inability to rise from the floor independently signals what geriatricians call reduced physical reserve capacity, meaning the body has lost the strength, flexibility, and coordination necessary to recover from physical challenges. This same physical reserve is what determines whether seniors bounce back quickly from illnesses or surgeries, or face lengthy rehabilitation periods and permanent declines in function. The physiological systems that enable floor rising directly correlate with the body's resilience in the face of health challenges. Susan, 75, from Florida, practiced getting up from the floor 3 times weekly and was able to recover on her own when she fell while gardening, avoiding what could have been a prolonged hospitalization. She incorporates different techniques like the knee-up method and the side roll, systematically strengthening the specific muscle groups needed for this critical movement pattern. Her physician noted that her recovery from the fall was remarkably efficient precisely because she had maintained the exact movement patterns required for self-rescue. To maintain this vital capability, practice descending to the floor and rising again once daily, initially near stable furniture if necessary. Start by sitting on a sturdy chair, then lowering to one knee, then to a seated position on the floor, then reversing the process. If you're already struggling with this movement, begin with bed-to-standing transfers, focusing on proper weight shifting and core engagement before progressing to floor exercises. Consider working with a physical therapist initially to learn proper techniques that prevent knee strain and maximize efficiency of movement. This ability can literally save your life. Begin practicing today, even if you start by simply sitting and rising from the floor next to your bed, where support is available. Every day that passes without challenging these movement patterns allows them to further deteriorate, making eventual recovery significantly more difficult. 3. Remembering names and details from recent conversations. Being able to recall someone's name minutes after meeting them and remember conversation details days later isn't normal after 70. It's exceptional. Neuroscientists at Harvard University have discovered that only about 12% of adults over 70 maintain the ability to recall names and conversational details at the same level they had at age 50. Their research using functional MRI scanning shows that these super rememberers have maintained robust neural connections between the hippocampus and frontal cortex, brain regions crucial for encoding and retrieving social information that typically show reduced connectivity with age. When this ability declines, it's not just socially embarrassing, it's often the first detectable sign of neural changes that may progress to more serious cognitive impairment. Memory lapses that were once occasional become increasingly frequent, affecting not just social interactions, but also the ability to follow medical advice, manage finances, and maintain independence in complex environments. Studies from the American Academy of Neurology indicate that social memory decline often precedes other cognitive changes by 3 to 5 years, providing a potential early warning system for more significant neurological issues. Margaret, 81, from Colorado, maintains a people diary where she briefly notes new names with associations, reviewing it weekly, and her social memory exceeds that of many middle-aged children. She deliberately creates vivid mental images connecting new names with distinctive physical features or personal details shared during initial conversations. This practice of intentional encoding activates multiple brain regions simultaneously, creating redundant memory pathways that remain accessible even as some neural connections naturally decline with age. Practice the elaborative rehearsal technique. When meeting someone, mentally repeat their name, connecting it to a visual detail and personal association, and review important conversations before sleeping. Create a system for capturing key information from meaningful exchanges, whether through brief notes or evening reflection. Deliberately challenge your recall by asking yourself specific questions about recent interactions and verify your accuracy when possible. Reduce multitasking during important conversations, as divided attention significantly impairs memory encoding for seniors. Your brain requires this type of intentional exercise daily. Start today by practicing memory techniques with each new person you meet. The neural pathways that support social memory respond quickly to deliberate practice, but also deteriorate rapidly without regular use, making consistent effort essential for maintaining this increasingly rare ability. 4. Traveling alone to new destinations. When was the last time you planned and completed a trip to somewhere new without relying on family members for assistance? This type of independence becomes increasingly rare after 65. A groundbreaking study from the University of Chicago demonstrated that seniors who continue traveling independently to new places have 44% lower likelihood of developing dementia and live, on average, 7 years longer than their peers who restrict travel to familiar locations or require companions. This remarkable association persisted even after controlling for physical health, socioeconomic status, and pre-existing cognitive function. Stopping independent travel isn't just a loss of pleasure. It signals diminished cognitive and physical confidence that typically precedes broader functional declines. The complex planning, problem-solving, and adaptation required for travel to unfamiliar places exercises crucial executive functions that maintain cognitive flexibility. When seniors stop challenging themselves with navigational and logistical hurdles in new environments, these neural pathways begin to atrophy, accelerating the process of cognitive aging. The environmental enrichment provided by novel travel experiences appears to promote neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells, which can help compensate for age-related brain changes. Walter, 77, from Arizona, takes a solo 3-day trip each quarter to a city he's never visited, maintaining navigational confidence and skills that many friends have lost. He deliberately avoids overplanning, allowing for small navigational challenges that exercise his spatial reasoning and adaptability. By intentionally placing himself in environments where he must interact with strangers, navigate unfamiliar transit systems, and solve unexpected problems, he creates precisely the type of cognitive challenges that neuroscientists believe help maintain neural plasticity and cognitive reserve. Plan a small solo trip to a destination just a few hours from home, using rideshare apps or public transportation, and staying overnight at least one night. Start with locations that offer some familiarity, but still require navigation challenges, and gradually increase the complexity of your journeys as your confidence grows. Consider joining a senior travel group for your first venture, if complete solo travel seems overwhelming, but set specific goals for independent exploration during group free time. Each month without exercising your travel independence diminishes your confidence. Plan a small solo adventure for next month, even if it's just to a neighboring town you've never explored. The cognitive benefits begin accruing from even short journeys to unfamiliar places, as long as you're managing the logistics independently and navigating new environments without assistance. 5. Maintaining hand strength to open packages and jars. Hand grip strength declines dramatically after 65, making opening jars and packages one of the first daily abilities to be lost. CDC studies show that grip strength is one of the most accurate predictors of mortality in older adults. Those in the upper quartile live an average of 8.7 years longer than those in the lowest quartile. This correlation holds true across different populations and health conditions, making hand strength one of the most reliable biomarkers of overall physical resilience and physiological reserve. Losing hand strength quickly leads to dependency for basic tasks like taking medications, preparing meals, and performing essential household tasks. This seemingly minor limitation has cascading effects on nutrition as preparing fresh foods becomes more difficult, medication adherence when pill bottles become challenging, and even hygiene when fasteners and personal care items require manipulation. Research from the Journal of Gerontology found that seniors with reduced grip strength consumed 37% fewer fresh fruits and vegetables, primarily due to preparation difficulties, leading to measurable nutritional deficiencies that further accelerated functional decline. Thomas, 82, from Washington, maintained his daily hand exercise routine and can still open any jar without special tools, preserving independence when friends already rely on family members. His systematic approach includes specific exercises for different hand functions, pinching, gripping, extending, and rotating, ensuring he maintains the full range of movements needed for everyday manual tasks. Medical assessments show he's maintained hand strength comparable to the average 60-year-old, giving him a significant advantage in daily functioning. Dedicate 2 minutes daily to squeezing a tennis ball or hand exerciser, alternating with pinching exercises using clothespins. Incorporate rotational movements by practicing opening and closing different-sized lids, while slightly wet to increase resistance. Include finger extension exercises by placing a rubber band around your fingers and spreading them against resistance. Make these exercises part of an established daily routine, such as during television watching or after brushing your teeth, to ensure consistency. Hand strength decreases 2 to 3% annually after 65 without specific exercises. Start these simple routines today before basic tasks become impossible. Unlike many age-related changes, hand strength responds remarkably well to targeted exercise even in very advanced age, making it one of the most modifiable aspects of senior physical function. 6. Walking 1. 5 miles without stopping to rest. Could you walk 15 blocks without needing to sit and rest? This simple capacity is becoming surprisingly rare after age 70. Cardiologists at the Cleveland Clinic have identified that the ability to walk 1.5 miles without rest directly correlates with longevity, reducing all-cause mortality risk by up to 53%. Their research indicates that this specific distance serves as an excellent proxy measure for overall cardiovascular fitness, respiratory capacity, and musculoskeletal function. The 3 physiological systems most closely tied to healthy aging and resilience. When you lose this capability, it's not just your mobility that diminishes. Your cardiopulmonary reserve becomes compromised, limiting your ability to recover from illnesses and surgeries. This reduced physiological reserve often becomes evident only during health challenges, when the body needs to recruit additional resources to fight infection or heal tissue. Studies from the American Heart Association have shown that seniors who can walk 1.5 miles continuously recover from pneumonia in half the time of those who cannot, and experience 64% fewer complications following common surgeries. This walking capacity essentially functions as an indicator of the body's hidden physiological resources, Patricia, 79, from Texas, maintained her daily walk for decades and recently recovered from pneumonia in just 8 days, when the average recovery time for her age group is 3 to 4 weeks. She attributes her rapid recovery directly to her walking habit, noting that her physician was stunned by how quickly her oxygen saturation levels normalized compared to typical patients her age. Even during her illness, her body maintained greater physiological reserves that allowed for more efficient healing and prevented the debilitating deconditioning that often follows respiratory infections in seniors. Start a progressive program, increasing your continuous walking distance by just 1 block weekly until you reach 1.5 miles without pauses. Begin on level terrain with good footwear and gradually introduce gentle inclines as your capacity improves. Focus initially on distance rather than speed, allowing your cardiovascular system to adapt to sustained activity. Consider walking in climate-controlled environments like malls during extreme weather to maintain consistency in your program. Each week without walking reduces your cardiopulmonary capacity. Start today, even if you begin by walking just to the end of your street without stopping. Your body's systems respond remarkably quickly to consistent cardiovascular challenge, and improvements often become noticeable within just 2 to 3 weeks of regular practice. 7. Learning and using new technologies without family help. Fewer than 8% of adults over 75 can set up and use a new electronic device without assistance, an ability strongly linked to prolonged independence. Stanford University researchers discovered that seniors who continue adopting and mastering new technologies have 32% fewer annual medical visits and maintain household independence, an average of 4.7 years longer than their peers. Their research suggests that the cognitive flexibility required to navigate unfamiliar technological interfaces exercises precisely the neural pathways that support problem-solving and adaptation in other areas of independent living. Avoiding new technology isn't just inconvenient, it leads to progressive isolation, reduces access to essential services, and accelerates cognitive decline. As more healthcare systems, government services, and social connections move online, technological avoidance creates measurable disadvantages that compound over time. A longitudinal study from the University of Michigan found that seniors with low technological adoption experienced twice the rate of depression and reported 67% more difficulty managing healthcare compared to those who regularly used digital tools. As telemedicine, online banking, and digital communication become increasingly central to daily functioning, the gap between technology-capable and technology-avoidant seniors grows wider. Harold, 83, from Michigan, taught himself to use ride-share apps, meal delivery services, and telemedicine platforms independently, allowing him to continue living alone when many friends needed caregivers. He approaches each new technology as a puzzle to be solved methodically, taking notes during the process and creating simple reference guides for himself. By maintaining technological independence, he's preserved access to services and social connections that support his autonomy, despite living in a rural area with limited transportation options. Establish the habit of learning one new technological function weekly, whether an app, device setting, or online platform, without immediately seeking family help. Set aside dedicated learning time when you're not rushed, and use online tutorials specifically designed for seniors, which often provide clearer instructions than general guides. Consider finding a peer learning partner of similar age to explore new technologies together, as research shows collaborative learning significantly improves adoption rates among seniors. The technology gap widens with each passing month. Choose a new tech skill to master this week before it becomes even harder to catch up. Start with technologies that provide immediate benefits to your daily life, creating positive reinforcement that motivates continued learning and adaptation. These 7 abilities: driving at night, getting up from the floor independently, remembering names and conversations, traveling solo, maintaining hand strength, walking sustained distances, and mastering new technologies, are increasingly rare after 65. Yet they're precisely the indicators of exceptional healthy longevity. The most inspiring truth is that each capability can be maintained or regained through specific, intentional practices, regardless of your current age. Your future isn't predetermined. It lies in the small daily choices you make starting today. Which of these 7 abilities do you still maintain? Share in the comments which one surprised you most and how you work to preserve it. If you know someone over 65 who could benefit from this information, sharing this video might literally add years of independent living to their life. Subscribe so you don't miss our next video about the 3 5-minute exercises that can restore mobility you thought was permanently lost.